Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday night, January the 18th. Happy divisional round to each and every one of you. Happy National Championship Eve to every Indiana Hoosier like myself who will be traveling to Miami for the National Championship game tomorrow. We are going to talk tonight about the three finalists that have been named for the Tennessee Titans head coaching job. A hire is expected here in the next couple of days. I had not allowed myself time in Miami because I fear that they will hire a coach while I am in Miami. And so I am flying down Monday morning for this natty, and I'm flying right back Tuesday morning because I fear that there will be a hire announced over the course of the next 2 days, 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. And then a press conference will then be very quickly scheduled, and I'll have to rush my ass back. Which I don't want to do. So we are going to make the necessary preparations, and we are preparing for a Titans head coach to be named in the next couple of days. And it does feel like Matt Nagy is inevitable to some extent. But Nagy is one of three finalists who have been named unofficially by a number of different people who are reporting on the situation. Robert Saleh was scheduled for a Zoom interview today. He will instead interview in person tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, because they're going to expedite the process and they feel comfortable enough with the vetting of Robert Saleh that they feel they can advance him to the second round. Guys who will not be finalists for the Titans job. Name Mike McDaniel, Mike McCarthy, Chris Shula, never even interviewed. There's a variety of different names that Titans fans felt interested in that are not going to get a second sniff here at this point in time. Curtis says, sadly, Buck was right. Titans stock way down. Well, listen, they haven't done it officially yet. Okay, the Matt Nagy thing. And also, I don't know how anybody could look at the resume of Robert Saleh next to Matt Nagy and think that Saleh has had more success as an NFL coach. And in fact, I will share with you, I'm not trying to sell you. I see we got Coke Dealer Buck tonight. No, I don't have my glasses on. Here's the Coke Dealer Buck. My blue light glasses. I need to clean my blue light glasses. A little smudgy. I don't know if you can see that. And also the glare on, like, the fact that you can see my set lights glaring on me through the glasses bothers me as much as wearing glasses do. But either way, I think that there's a variety of different things that will be discussed as far as this goes. And I think that a lot of you guys will bitch and moan no matter what happens, because you're not going to be happy about the circumstance because you didn't get the white whale. And frankly, you thought your job was a lot better than it actually is. And that's okay. Like, I don't want to, we're going to talk about these three candidates, and we're really going to talk mostly about Nagy and Saleh because I don't think that Hafley's going to end up being it. I reserve the right to be proven wrong. But Jeff Hafley feels like kind of outside looking in, the Packers defensive coordinator at this point in time. But as we look at all of the different things that we have now, we are going to consider the idea that, like, all right, is it actually as bad as it might feel? Hypnos says the Nagy propaganda will not work on us. But listen, I will tell you, I don't want Matt Nagy, because Matt Nagy does nothing for me from a juice perspective. Like, you guys will be pissed about it for a couple of days. I'll get a little bit of a bump off that as far as numbers go, because you will be rage listening and hate watching and all these different things. But that doesn't do anything for me sustainably long term. You guys will be miserable. There'll be no excitement about the team. And I'm not saying make a hire for the sake of excitement. I'm just saying this is not propaganda. I'm just telling you what's most likely to happen. I'm not trying to sell you anything. For me personally, the best case scenario would have been John Harbaugh, because John Harbaugh is the most interesting person. He's the most famous person, and I would have been able to do a lot more with that than I can Matt damn Nagy. But whatever. We'll take these things as they go, and we'll see if they can actually make progress with the Matt Nagy situation. If that is the direction, there's nothing guaranteeing he is heavily the favorite to get the job, but there's nothing that guarantees that Robert Saleh or Jeff Hafley won't at least get an opportunity, a true opportunity, to get this job. Jeffrey Mullen says McCarthy gets the job. No, again, he's not a finalist, so they would have to do something completely they would have to basically completely shift gears here to hire Mike McCarthy. Now, he spent all day in Nashville on Saturday, and apparently that wasn't good enough for one side or the other to get a second interview. Now, I don't know that Mike McCarthy didn't say, yeah, guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate your interest, but at this point in time, it's not really for me. I don't know that they weren't interested in him as a finalist and that he potentially turned them down. Because again, there are some things that are appealing about this job. There are a lot of things that are appealing about this job. This job is not for everybody. As I've told you multiple times over, and I know that you don't want to hear that as a fan. You want the best case scenario as a fan always, but you got to understand where things are right now. So we're going to go through halftime of the NFC divisional round with you as we get ready to see the AFC championship game is set. It will be former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots on the road against a Bo Nix-less Denver Broncos team. Jarrett Stidham will start in the AFC championship game in a crazy weekend of football. The games haven't necessarily been good in the divisional round. But the Bills-Broncos game was good. But then the outcome of that, where you get no Josh Allen and now no even Bo Nix, who has a fractured ankle and is done for the year, it does feel like a bit of a walk-in for the Patriots to get to the Super Bowl. And Seattle just dog-walking the San Francisco 49ers last night. So a lot of interesting outcomes. We await the Bears and the Rams as they get ready to wrap up the first half of their NFC divisional round game tonight. But it is, it's extra visceral, right? As we talk about the Tennessee Titans in a coaching search where they will now be looking for their third coach in as many years. That Mike Vrabel is 2 years removed and only 1 year back as a head coach back in the AFC championship game. Like that makes it was always important to get the hire right. It just feels like a bit of a knife twist. And maybe you'll accuse me of twisting that knife even further. But I'm telling you, for me, as somebody who talks about them critically, yeah, it matters that Mike Vrabel's back in the AFC championship game because you guys screwed this up royally and you damn well better get it right this time around. Or again, you're going to be judged as harshly as you were for how badly it failed in the last couple of times. That was in your building. In some form or fashion. No Josh McDaniels wasn't in your building, and no Drake May wasn't in your building. Hell, Travion Henderson wasn't even in your building. But you had enough at the time, and it started with the A.J. Brown trade. We don't need to relitigate all these Titans ills that have fallen flat on their face, but I flipped over from the AFC divisional round where the Texans shit themselves against the Patriots at home. C.J. Stroud, just awful. If that makes you feel any better as a Titans fan in your division. I flipped over from the Patriots winning in the AFC divisional round to advance to see Kevin Byard being interviewed about potentially going to the NFC championship game. So there's Titans connections all over the place, and none of them feel particularly good. But again, on the coaching side of things, it matters for Cam Ward. It matters for Mike Borgonzi, who you want to tie yourself to at this point in time, because he is very much going to be tied, especially if it's Nagy. He will be that will be the person that he is married to. And if Matt Nagy fails here, so too will Mike Borgonzi, and it will likely mean both of their jobs. So, why Mike McCarthy isn't a finalist here, I would love to hear an explanation about it. I think it's very disappointing. Halo says, why is Mike McCarthy out? I wish I knew, but they're not bringing him back for a second interview, or at least there's no reported second interview. And again, I would expect that they, I can't imagine before Wednesday we don't know who the next Titans coach is, and that there wouldn't be a press conference on Thursday or Friday in some form or fashion to kind of get this whole thing up and going. Curtis says, Vrabel's about to go to the Super Bowl and we're about to sign Matt effing Nagy. Crazy world, man. It's not all Amy's fault, okay? But a lot of it is Amy's fault. A lot of it is Amy Adams Strunk's fault. So I'm not going to say that all of your ills can be placed directly at her feet, and you can point at her and say, well, what the hell happened here? You had such a good thing going for such a long time. Why did you let it all fall to shit? But I will tell you that this is the risk that you run acting like a second-tier organization, that when jobs that have more stability come open, all of a sudden every advantage that you have, which is young quarterback, cap space, promising general manager, the city of Nashville, the city of Nashville with the, because the city of Nashville is a huge draw for a lot of these coaches. That does matter. You have every advantage that you could possibly want in this particular situation, but your biggest disadvantage is ownership. And they're looking around and saying this, looking in some different spaces and say, well, would I rather coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Tennessee Titans? It's not even a question. You'd rather be the coach of the Steelers. Would I rather be the Ravens coach or the Falcons coach even? I'm not saying that Arthur Blank is any picture or model picture of ideal NFL ownership, but he's not Amy, right? This is a really difficult situation that they have dug themselves into, and now they're going to have a harder time digging themselves out, but they absolutely must dig themselves out. They're going to have to be a hell of a lot better across the board, including her, to make sure that they can get this thing out of the gutter, or it'll forever be a nothing franchise the way that she's turned it into these last couple of years, where they're basically the Browns and the Jets. And that is a really unfortunate situation. Richard says, Saleh is getting the job. Talk about Saleh only, nothing else. No, I'm not going to do that because again, it could happen. I'm not saying that it's completely out of the question, but I'm saying that there's a much higher percentage chance that it's Matt Nagy than it is Robert Saleh. Again, doesn't mean that, the next time. By the way, I won't do primetime tomorrow because I'm going to be in Miami for the national championship game. So whenever the Titans do make their coach, we'll do a primetime show, obviously. But I am going to be. I would be surprised if it ended up being not Matt Nagy at this point in time. Doesn't mean that they can't surprise me. I don't know if it's good if they end up surprising me again. I don't see what the big stink about Matt Nagy is. He's literally the best resume of the three finalists that you have. Now, maybe you're not happy with the finalist situation between Jeff Hafley and Robert Saleh, but the shit I hear about Robert Saleh in New York, and not that he's a bad guy or anything like that, but he may not be a good head coach. He may not be a good head coach at all for a variety of different reasons. You can blame it on Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers if you want to, but he was appreciably worse in New York than Matt Nagy was in Chicago. Curtis says, you get paid to watch, Buck. It's different for you. Well, yeah, no, it's definitely different for me, but it makes a huge difference. Stillman was texting me about this, and I know many of you like, or more of you don't like Jared Stillman. But I was going back and forth. Stillman loves to text me his text, which I appreciate because they make me laugh a lot of times. And he said, I hope I'm not betraying your confidence because I'm reading directly from my text, but, and I'm sure he'll talk about this on his YouTube show. He says, I'm fine with Nagy. I don't know him. The guy calling the shots does, talking about Borgonzi. They'll both be fired in 2 years unless Cam is a lot better than I think he is, which, of course, we know that Jared's not high on Cam. The fans don't. Maybe I won't read that part. Well, I don't know that he wouldn't say this to you guys, but basically inferring that fans are being overreactionary on social media. Not that Jared can call anybody overreactionary. And I told him, honestly, I don't even care what they do at this point in time. What I told him is if they keep screwing this shit up, I'm gonna start getting credentialed by Fox to go do other teams' playoff games. I'm tired of sitting on the couch in January. The first Sunday off is kind of nice. Having wild card weekend off was kind of nice, but listen, I'm here to do playoffs. Okay, I'm a front runner. I'm not waiting around for them to get this shit right. If they're not back in a postseason next year, I swear to God, you will find me in a New England press box or a San Francisco press box because I'm tired of covering non-playoff football. I'm sick of this shit at this point in time, which is my rooting interest. I need you to get this right because I'm tired of not working in January. I mean, actually working in January instead of sitting here talking about the draft and coaching carousels and all this lazy crap. So not lazy crap, but just meaningless crap that we've cycled through over and over and over again. Big on YouTube says, Jesus, it's been 4 seasons. Yeah, that's a long ass time. It's a really long time for me to not do playoff football. Okay. And I get that you as a fan have waited longer between your most recent playoff experience and how long it had been before that, since you'd won a playoff game and all those different things, but I don't care. I don't want to sit around and wait for you guys to get it right. I will, we'll still do prime time. We'll still do the local show, but I'm going to have to talk to the people at Fox about let's get me credentialed so I can actually do some real football games as opposed to 3-14 Titans in Jacksonville in week 18. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so as we talk about all these different things, Big says that I'm in the wrong business if I want to be in the playoffs every season. No, not at all. fact, I think that's the goal. I would much rather do important football games instead of games that don't matter. 16-hour days are not to be wasted with shitty football. I would love to do bigger games. I would love to do better games. I would love for the Titans to be involved with those as they were when I first started doing this. So, yeah, I can still cover the Tennessee Titans. And if they don't make the playoffs, go do something else with my time at this point in time, because I'm tired of feeling it being wasted, just as I'm tired of you guys having your time wasted, which is a little bit what the Matt Nagy hire would feel like. So we're going to dive into all of these things tonight at this point in time. Mark Jane says, why do you cover the team? I know you have a team. I really don't. Well, actually, that's not true. I'm rooting for the Patriots because I love to see Harold Landry and Mike Vrabel and all the people that I covered who I really like succeeding. I'm rooting for the Bears as well. I'd love to see the Bears and Kevin Byard. I think it'd be huge for KB to be back in the championship game and potentially get a Super Bowl run out of it. I root for the Ravens as long as Derrick Henry is on the roster. So I root for people. Not necessarily a franchise. If you made me pick a franchise, I'd probably pick the Ravens just because I like their jerseys, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I'm not like in the business of rooting for teams. I'll root for people for sure. Like Marcus Mariota. I want Marcus Mariota to have the most successful career humanly possible because I very much enjoyed Marcus and all those different dudes that I had during my my first 6 seasons that I covered the team. And since then, it's been a bunch of dudes that aren't here for more than a week and a half. And everybody just keeps getting fired. So I don't have any real connections to all of this stuff. With all of these things being said at this point in time, the finalists for the Titans job and how excited you are about this particular situation, if excited at all. Brett Gardner says, Buck, who do you think will be the next head coach? Well, listen, by percentage chance, it's most likely to be Nagy. Do I think that it is for sure going to be Matt Nagy? I'm not for sure about anything. I think that at this point in time, Gabriel says, I thought you were a Colts fan, Buck. No, I literally, the only connection I have to the state of Indiana is I went to college at Indiana, but we didn't move to Indiana until like high school. So I think the only jersey that I've ever owned is a Jets jersey, a John Abraham Jets jersey in the second grade when we lived in New York. So I don't give a shit about the Colts. I guess if you want to accuse me of being anything, I guess the closest thing you could accuse me of is being an actual Jets fan, which is crazy. Which of course is not the case. But like I said, I root for people, not teams at this point in time. So all these different things, as you look at the Titans finalists, Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, the former head coach of the Chicago Bears. Robert Saleh, the current defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, who just got eliminated, and the former head coach of the New York Jets, failed both Matt Nagy and Robert Saleh, though Saleh was appreciably worse by record with the Jets than Nagy was with the Chicago Bears. You can debate the merits of that. It's just factually accurate at this point in time. Third and least likely is Jeff Hafley. Now, doesn't mean that there's not a chance. Jeff Hafley is a finalist at this point in time, but Jeff Hafley is the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, also eliminated at this point. He has a second interview with Miami as well. So we will see if the Dolphins or the Titans make a move on Jeff Hafley, one before the other. That remains to be seen, of course. So as we talk about these things, your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is this. Who is your favorite among the Titans head coach finalists? Hafley, Nagy, Saleh. You can order them however you want. You can just give me your favorite if you so choose. Please let me know in the comment section. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Always on offer. Go to Two Rivers Ford today and get the best vehicle for your family's budget and for your needs. The South's most trusted Ford dealer. All right. So who is your favorite at this point in time? DJ on YouTube says Saleh. Let's see. I wouldn't trust Borgonzi for, is it the Jair? Is that how I say it? On YouTube, I wouldn't trust Borgonzi if he picks Nagy. So that's an interesting thing. And I've seen this pondered on social media about what does it say about Mike Borgonzi if he picks Matt Nagy? If he goes through 19, technically including Harbaugh, even though they didn't interview Harbaugh, they talked to him on the phone. if they go through 19 different versions of a coaching search or a coaching candidate search, and they ultimately end up landing on Matt Nagy, who is the person that Mike Borgonzi has the strongest connections with, given their time together with the Chiefs, what does it say about Mike Borgonzi? Well, it says, one, that he's comfortable with the familiarity of what Matt Nagy brings, good, bad, or indifferent. And also that he, out of all these different candidates, is most willing to tie his job to Matt Nagy. Like, I'm not saying that that should give it any extra oomph for you because, I think for as many of you who seem to like Mike Borgonzi right now, I think that tone will very much change with a good portion of you if Matt Nagy is ultimately who he settles on. And it's possible that Amy won't let it happen. Like Mike Borgonzi could go through this whole process and it could be vetoed by ownership. It's not like Mike Borgonzi has the final say on this. Amy would have to greenlight it too, right? It's still her team at the end of the day, even if she's not like super hands-on the search committee at this point in time. So what does it say about Mike Borgonzi that he would be so willing to tie his job, because he'll get fired if Matt Nagy doesn't work, that he's so willing to tie his job to Matt Nagy? Does that give you any extra confidence, or does it just make you question what you knew about Mike Borgonzi in the first place? To me, it's the former. Like, again, Mike's only been here for a year, so I don't know how good or how bad or how level he'll be in this job. I know that he had the number 1 overall draft pick. I know that they did a pretty good job in the 4th round with those 3 pass catchers. And I know that on the whole, the team that they put together was as bad as the team, and for large parts of the season, worse than the team that was fielded in 2024, which is one of the worst Titans teams that I've ever seen. And this year was worse. At the end, it got better. But for the vast majority of the season, that team that they put together, really, really stinky. So, I'm not saying that you have to implicitly trust Mike Borgonzi or that you should implicitly be skeptical of him. I'm just saying, just like Cam Ward, TBD. TBD what to do with Mike Borgonzi and how much you trust or don't trust him. Like, I don't think you need to go full-fledged in J-Rob we trust, right? Because, frankly, John had earned it. And then John, as well as he had earned your trust, he immediately lit it on fire with his next 3 seasons. And how he went about conducting his business. So just because that trust can be earned doesn't mean that it can't evaporate as quickly, as evidenced by your most recent, not your most recent, but your general manager, 2 general managers ago. It's crazy how many times we've been through this stupid ass cycle with this team that just simply cannot get it right. But I don't know. I don't know if, I don't think it would make me lose trust in Mike Borgonzi if he hired Nagy, but it would make me hyper vigilant, for lack of a better term. I mean, we would be tough on all parties involved in that ensuing press conference about, why do we think this is going to work after it did not work in Chicago? What have you learned from Chicago that you plan to not have a part of your Tennessee experience? How are the 2 of you going to justify the expansive search that you just went on, only to land on the guy who you know better than anybody at this point in time? Why should that make fans trust the process when ultimately you just conducted this whole ring around the rosy type deal? Now, I will say, just to run it through a college football prism, Danny White, the athletic director of the University of Tennessee, did this with Josh Heupel. Now, I know Josh Heupel is getting into, a season that's going to come with a lot of pressure in 2026 for Josh Heupel, and that this year did not go entirely to plan. And there's some ways to nitpick the Josh Heupel experience. But what I will tell you is that Danny White conducted what he called an extensive nationwide search for the Vols head coach, ultimately landed on Josh Heupel, who was his previous coach at, UCF, if I'm not mistaken, where Danny White was the previous athletic director, and it ended up working out. That's the best coach that the Vols have had in quite some time. Now, is he championship caliber? I don't know the answer to that. Right now, he's not been. And it's taken him a considerable amount of time to even really get to the college football playoff, an appearance, a postseason where he has 1 appearance at this point. Doesn't mean that it wasn't a good hire, but there is room for improvement. you have to get back to function. Like, I know that you want instantaneous results and that you want to be back in the mix and you want to hire a Super Bowl champion coach, but like, this place has to earn back the trust of people who would be interviewing in the job search cycle. This, like I said, has not been an attractive franchise to work for, and they have not done anything to show you of consequence other than hiring Mike Borgonzi, who people really seem to be impressed with as far as the interview process goes. They haven't done anything to acquit themselves. They haven't done anything to beat the allegations just yet. So I think that there's a couple of different things to this. The vast majority of you are going to say Saleh, and I understand that. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network was on television today talking about the Titans coaching search.
Let's focus in, Rich, on the Tennessee Titans head coaching search. Took a huge swing early this week, trying to lure John Harbaugh into their building, actually planning to go visit him in Baltimore before the Giants locked in and eventually finished that deal with Harbaugh. But they are set for an important week moving forward. Our understanding is that the Tennessee Titans are setting up second interviews with a couple of their big-time candidates. Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, who no doubt is a top candidate in Miami as well. And then Matt Nagy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Nagy's an interesting one as well, guys. A former head coach, did incredibly well. A coach of the year in Chicago with Mitch Trubisky, certainly has done an excellent job coordinating the Chiefs offense. The Tennessee Titans hire could be coming this week, guys.
Speaking of the second round of interviews, Nate Scheelhaase, the Rams pass game coordinator, has advanced to that portion of the program with the Cleveland Browns. You're seeing the other requests for him on the screen. The Steelers, the Raiders, the Ravens, those are the ones that have interviewed him so far. He hasn't been an offensive coordinator at the NFL level, but he did call plays at Iowa State. He's a former quarterback, and having worked with both Matt Campbell at Iowa State and Sean McVay in the NFL level, he's got the X's and O's and the leadership boxes checked as well. So this is a guy who could skip that offensive coordinator step, go right to head coaching. He has impressed in his interviews so far. Keep an ear out for Scheelhaase over the next week.
Texans defensive coordinator Matt Burke took over play calling in week 4, and he has been masterful. They have the #1 defense in the league. They absolutely smother opponents. And now Burke, a longtime assistant coach, who's maybe been a little bit under the radar, is finally getting some notice as a potential head coach. The Arizona Cardinals have asked to interview him for their vacant job. So who is Matt Burke? Well, he played safety at Dartmouth. He's worked for 8 different NFL teams. He climbs mountains in his free time. He's done charity work in Uganda. And when you talk to folks around the Texans, they say the secret to his success is his relationships. He's comfortable talking to everybody in the building. He also, guys, happens to be from Hudson, Massachusetts, which is just about 35 miles up the road. There are a lot of people in this area with divided loyalties today, and they might have to start rooting for a new team for Matt Burke next season.
Another candidate for the Titans head coaching job is Mike McCarthy, who spent Saturday in Tennessee going through an in-person interview. This week, McCarthy will interview with his hometown team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. His father, Joe, was a Pittsburgh police officer who also owned a local bar. Mike grew up a Steelers fan and later beat them as the Packers head coach in Super Bowl 45. This would be an uncharacteristic hire for the Steelers. They've always gone young, first-time head coaches from defensive backgrounds, but McCarthy's won over 60% of his games, 12 playoff trips in 18 seasons. He might be a better fit for a veteran Steelers roster that has, frankly, struggled to score points and is going to need to develop a young quarterback sooner than later. Also bears mentioning that if there is one coach that Aaron Rodgers might consider playing for the Steelers again for after Mike Tomlin stepped down, it would be the guy that he won that Super Bowl with in Green Bay.
All right, so that is a variety. Those are a variety. I think that's grammatically correct. A variety of different updates on the coaching cycle. And again, McCarthy did interview here all day yesterday. Apparently is not a finalist for the job. So I don't know what to tell you about that other than I think he would have been the best possible situation in a post-Harbaugh world, but that is apparently not the direction that they're going to be heading in. So it's Nagy, it's Saleh maybe, who has yet to do a single interview with them, but we'll do an in-person interview with him. He'll skip the Zoom. And Jeff Hafley, who, I mean, I don't know how much to ding Jeff Hafley for the fact that he's the Packers defensive coordinator. I'm sure you paid attention to that to some extent. But the Packers defensive coordinator, the Packers defense, after Micah Parsons went down, and they had a couple other injuries too, as any team does. But like, I don't know if I was as inspired by the Packers defense as enough to look at this guy and be like, all right, just externally, what makes him a surefire head coaching candidate? Now, obviously, people think highly enough of him to interview him in a variety of different places. I'll be curious to see what exactly that looks like at this point in time. The other part of this is Chris Shula and Cliff Kingsbury were requested, but didn't ever end up getting scheduled interviews here. So it's one of the many questions that's going to be asked at this press conference. Whenever the press conference goes down, with whomever the head coaching candidate is, be like, all right, why'd you request all these people? And you couldn't even get to Kingsbury or Chris Shula, two of the people who are going to be most interesting in this head coaching cycle. Ghost on YouTube says of Robert Saleh, is he really interested in this job? Yeah, man, I had heard months ago, like after Callahan got fired months ago, maybe not October, but like November, just talking to some people around the league to this effect. And I was told that Robert Saleh would want the job. Now, that was in November. And I don't know how much that might change if he's got options. Like, if Robert Saleh were to get offered the job, what would be the better option for Robert Saleh? Because again, I don't think he's, for some reason, and listen, you all are entitled to your opinion. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to provide you as much information as humanly possible and let you guys make whatever decisions you want to make. I will tell you that I am confused by you all being as enthusiastic about Saleh when his resume and his body of work, other than his defense, was really, really good in New York, which, maybe matters to you. He was not a good head coach. And, talking to some people that cover the Jets, I'll read you two blurbs, all right? One from somebody who covers the Bears, one from somebody who covers the Jets on both of these coaching candidates. Because I'm not there like I am with the Titans every day. So I wanted to make sure that I have at least some level of understanding about who these people are from people that have covered them, like I cover the Titans. So, all right, I literally texted my Bears reporter friend today, and I said, how bad, sight unseen, no context. I just sent a text that said, how bad is Matt Nagy? And this response I got. I don't know that he's bad, actually. I just think he was over his head in Chicago. He seems much more of an X's and O's guy rather than, hey, I'm going to change a culture around. I have to imagine he learned some things head coach-wise from his time here, though, if he is seeking out another head coaching job. So, again, that is not the kind of thing that you're looking for. That sounds more like Brian Callahan, at least in his first edition. Now, maybe it's like Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan did not do a good job here. If Brian Callahan gets another head coaching opportunity, will he be better? I have no idea. But that's the kind of opportunity that Matt Nagy is hoping for. So that's what I got from the Bears reporter about Nagy. Now, if you will bear with me, no pun intended, for a second, I will pull up what I got back on Saleh because, frankly, it was much more damning. Listen, New York is a tougher market to impress people. So maybe we got to bank on a degree of severity here because we know that the New York media is much tougher. But like I said, I wanted to send out some feelers to some people who have actually covered these guys. And this is what I got back on Saleh. He's actually a nice person. He's super communicative. He would talk to you all the time, but he gets caught up in the wrong thing and is very much about money. Not tough enough on the players either. Doesn't hold guys that accountable. And there's some other things that are added to that I don't think are necessary to share here. But again, this is who he was in his first head coaching job. Okay, both of them, Nagy and Saleh, both have serious flaws in their first head coaching job. Okay, who are they going to be as the next theoretical Titans head coach? We could not possibly know. But all I'm saying is that while people seem to be much more extreme about Matt Nagy than they do about Robert Saleh, I am here to tell you that both markets where they were in their previous head coaching jobs have pointed out serious flaws about the Robert Saleh and Matt Nagy experience. Okay, so none of these candidates are perfect, right? The other one, Hafley, the third one, has never done this job before, and that's scarier to me than somebody who has done this job and failed before, because at least they've had the opportunity to know how it goes. Chaz on YouTube says Buck wants Tennessee to hire Nagy so he can continue to crap on them each and every show. Oh God, I so badly want to talk about good football. I would much rather. That's why I'm so grateful for Fox Sports Radio giving me a national show on Saturdays this year, so I can talk about actually good football. I'm so sick and tired of this bullshit, frankly. And listen, you can say that that's, that I would find a way to shit on them either way. I disagree. I covered this team for 6 consecutive winning seasons. Yes, I was critical during those 6 consecutive winning seasons, but I've never been as tough on them as I am right now because they deserve it. They put themselves in this shitty place. Like the idea that you are okay with letting them get off the hook and like, the poor little guy on YouTube, he's being too mean to my football team. Get over it. My God. Toughen up a little bit. Have some standards. Philadelphia Eagles fans rioted because they won their division, hosted a playoff game, and shit the bed so bad they got their offensive coordinator fired. Like, you think I'm being too tough on your football team because they've been a disaster at every turn? No, I want them to be good. I want to cover football games that matter. I'm tired. I personally, and my biggest issue with them, if you want to be honest about it, is the fact that they are a waste of time, that nobody else outside the city of Nashville, Tennessee cares about them. And I want to cover bigger games. I got to cover big games at the start of my career, and I've been covering meaningless games for the past 4. All right. That's why I'm tough on them. I need them to get this right as badly as you do. God, it's just so embarrassing that people would take that approach, to think that somebody is so to think that somebody would choose bad organizational decisions for the purposes of what? Like hate clicks? No, because at a certain point you guys check out. Football season should be the best time of year. And instead, the off season is the only time I can get you guys to care anymore, because God almighty, it's just their football games don't matter. Crazy. Anyway, Mickey says, guess what? But it's not about you. Oh, you better tell me that. Like hell it's not. You're crazy if you don't think I think this is entirely about me. I don't care if you think it's about me or not. You're rooting for different reasons. I'm telling you, I'm not rooting for it as a fan. I'm rooting for me. I need them to do better, because all of our shows are doing really well with shitty 3-14 football. And I want more. That's my motivation. Anyway, Dalen says, why is the finalist list so small? Well, that's pretty standard, actually. That's pretty standard at this. I mean, like when Vrabel was one of the finalists, it was who? It was him, it was Matt LaFleur, and it was Steve Wilkes. Those were the finalists, right? When Callahan, I don't even know. I can't remember. It's not that long ago, but like I don't ever remember them even being that involved with other people who weren't Brian Callahan as far as what their finalists look like at this point in time. So it's pretty standard. It's pretty standard to say that this would be the way that you would winnow it down. Now, initially, if you're going to show fans 19 different people, then are you expected to have, maybe 5 finalists of the 19, more than 3? I guess I understand why you might view that, but yeah, I 3 is what we have to work with right now. Maybe a 4th pops up, but again, like I think you're really going to see dominoes start to fall everywhere around the league, not just here in Tennessee. I think these things are gonna pick up quickly. So once, now that 2 of them are down, because Stefanski, of course, we haven't talked about that yet either. Stefanski has been hired by the Atlanta Falcons. So that's 2 of the 9 jobs that were open, ready to go. And I'm sure that Baltimore and Pittsburgh, even though they're a little behind in the deal, are probably going to want to have some clarity before we get to things like Senior Bowl and stuff like that. I would expect a lot of movement here in the next, no more than 3 days across the league. and that would speed up a variety of different people. It would increase the urgency, right? The urgency was increased as soon as they missed out on Harbaugh after they were prepared. They didn't actually have to go out of their way because John Harbaugh bailed on them. But they were prepared to go the whole way with John Harbaugh. And then after you kind of showed your hand on that, you're like, all right, kind of back to square one here in this situation. And let's make sure that somebody else doesn't get our 1B guy. I don't know how high Stefanski would have been on their list. It doesn't matter now because he's already been hired by another club. But I do think that this will increase the urgency across the board, and that is why it's critical that they get this as right as humanly possible, even though they will now be sped up. Now, well, I've rambled here a little bit, and we've already gotten into the second half, and I told you I was going to get you back in time for the second half of this football game. I do want to quickly remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Tennessee Department of Transportation, where TDOT reminds you that nobody trashes Tennessee. You can go to nobodytrashestn.com to find out how to be a part of the solution to end littering. And by Simon Says Nashville, the premier men's clothing spot in Nashville. Dress for success, dress to be the best version of yourself, and do so with great offers, great deals at simonsaysnashville.com. Their 1-year anniversary party coming up on the 24th over there in Wedgwood, Houston. If you want to go check out all the cool stuff that they've got going on, it's going to be a party. I'm probably going to be there. Should be fun. Anyway, so all that to say about this process, like Mike Borgonzi is a huge decision to make here, because if he's really prepared to tie himself publicly to Matt Nagy for his job viability, man, he's got to really know what he's doing, and he may not. Right? It's just kind of the situation that you're in. Jeremy Graham says nobody trashes Tennessee unless they're talking about the Titans. I mean, the Titans. I wrote about this earlier because Mike Vrabel's in the AFC Championship game, and of course, that's I started the show with that. That makes this all so much more visceral, right? That the guy that wasn't good enough for you was good enough to go to an AFC Championship game with a storied franchise who has 6 Lombardi trophies and is. I don't know that. I think whoever gets there from the AFC is going to get dummied by the Seahawks. The Seahawks obviously have to get through the conference championship game, but like Seattle looks so much better than everybody else involved that I think if Seattle's in the Super Bowl, whoever is in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks is probably going to lose. But man, I mean, the Vrabel of it all makes it very, very tough for them to not do something meaningful here, and they have to really know what they're doing. Now, Mike Borgonzi doesn't care about that because he wasn't here when Mike Vrabel got hired, wasn't here when Mike Vrabel got fired. Mike Vrabel means nothing to Mike Borgonzi in terms of the scope of this job, but it means a great deal of people here who do care about this franchise and who are covering this day-to-day of the franchise and who do, expect meaningful progress to finally happen after they dragged their ass and screwed this up so many different times over at this point in time. They and also I always see this justification of Vrabel wanted out of here. I know you guys think that I'm just a simp for Mike Vrabel no matter what. And listen, I do absolutely think that it was a bad decision. I understood why they did it. I still thought it was a bad decision. I think they look like fools now for having done it. And I think that they're just going to have to eat that shame every week on national television as far as he goes to, as far as he continues this playoff thing. But Mike wanted to stay here. And it's not just because Mike wanted to stay here. And I know that the Patriots is an easy connection to make, and he took a shot at them at his Patriots Hall of Fame induction. And you can say that was a fireable offense. It was also true. What he said was accurate. It's not like that everywhere else. And he's, he's a living example of why bad organizations stay bad, because they get emotional. They make decisions instead of finding ways to work with difficult personalities. But ultimately, Mike's family wanted to be here, and that matters a great deal. Like, I know his son Carter still lives in Tennessee. He loves it. Jen, his wife, loves Nashville, Tennessee. I have talked, and listen, you can say that Mike will say anything to a reporter or anything like that, but I've talked to Mike about this multiple times, both while he was still working in an official capacity here and after he got fired in an unofficial capacity. At every turn, the line has been, no, we wanted to stay in Nashville. It just didn't work out that way. So, like I said, you're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe, but like, if you're still using the, well, he wanted to be a Patriot anyway, justification as to why it wasn't going to work out here, that's not as true as you might think it is. Like I said, I'm here to provide you information. Your opinion that you want to formulate off that information or disagree with it or discount it, it's entirely your right. I think there's no reason to lie about something like that, other than he's in greener pastures right now and he's a game away from the Super Bowl again. And you're, I don't know, whatever. You're just out here in the wilderness. I don't think you're as like far away from the Super Bowl as you've ever felt, because I felt like that was the start of this year. And I think they did make progress. So I can't say that they've never felt further away from the Super Bowl than they do right now. They did at the start of the season, but yeah, I don't know what you want me to tell you about this situation other than he found a better one and he's doing better with it. And she has to kind of just eat it on a weekly basis at this point in time. It's tough. It's just, it's unfortunate for Titans fans, because I don't think you guys deserve to have your noses rubbed in it week after week after week. And I know some of you think that I rub your noses in it week after week after week. I'm not doing it to you. I'm doing it in large part because they need to know that everybody's screwed up. And that's about accountability for an organization that has to do better and has not done better. In fact, all they've done is get appreciably worse year after year after year. So I get why Titans fans would take that personally. I'm sorry if you do, but that's just the reality of the situation. And, it's not just me that are on their ass about all the things that they've done wrong and how badly they need to get this right. It's all of us in Titans media who are just sick and tired of them getting it wrong and everybody else having to suffer for it so often. Anyway, so as you chosen on YouTube says, Buck, which is why the Nagy hiring would be an indictment. It had mediocre written all over it. Again, you would kill to be mediocre. I'm okay with them being mediocre for a couple of years if it means that they can fire the mediocre guy and malarkey their way into another Vrabel. You know what I'm saying? That's like, guys, you have to get to mediocre first. It's not an indictment. It's an improvement. You're 3-14 back-to-back years. You're like 2 games away from another number 1 overall draft pick. Mediocre not being good enough all of a sudden. If I am truly to believe that you want to build this thing up the right way, then yeah, malarkey was mediocre, but mediocre was good enough for a period of time, and then it got appreciably better, and they moved the thing forward. Don't look at this as a 10-year hire. I don't look at it as a 10-year hire. I look at it as a hire that they need to get baseline functional to get people to think that they can play competitive football so that when they open their new stadium in 2027, you guys don't boycott it the way that you're actively boycotting Nissan Stadium. I beg of you, get mediocre. My God, please get to mediocre. You don't have to operate in these extremes. Anyway, we had other things for tonight, but we're already, almost done with the fourth quarter or third quarter, and I don't want to. It's a 10-10 ball game right now. I would like to watch this playoff game as much as you at this point in time. So we will see what happens in the next couple of days. I don't think we'll do a primetime show. I know we won't do a primetime show on Tuesday when I get back from Miami for no other, unless they hire a coach. If they hire a coach, I'll be on here. If not, Easton can't. I'll let you guys hang out with him. And then, but surely by Wednesday, when I will return to you all in earnest, having recovered from a national championship trip and hopefully in favor of the Indiana Hoosiers. On Monday night, we will talk about the next Titans head coach, and we will have press conference coverage for you. But I am off to Miami tomorrow morning. I will not be on the radio show tomorrow. Robert and Lucas and Ben Jones and Brett Kern, they'll hold it down. You guys would rather spend 3 hours with them than you would with me, bothering you throughout the course of that 3 hours anyway. So have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy what remains of your weekend. Enjoy the national title game. And we hope that we very much hope, at least I hope, that IU is able to pull it off, because if not, this is going to be a very expensive trip just to watch a team that I have been bandwagoning vigorously go down in flames against the Miami Hurricanes, who I'm very scared of. But I think that it's going to end up being a fun game. I hope that it's going to end up being a fun game. See you guys tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. I'll see you guys Tuesday morning is when I get back from Miami. We'll see what kind of shape I'm in on the radio show. Enjoy the rest of your week.
I mean, we keep